Thank you very much, our kings, queens, princes, princesses, the hosting country, Eswatini, His Royal Majesty, the Eswatini III. This, our gathering here, is what I will say long, very long overdue. An inspiring speech by our AU Commissioner, who has given some depth into the work that the African Union has been doing to make the contribution of the year of reparation, right? The theme, and I'm happy that it's been extended for 10 years, because the work that has to be done to get this reparations for our peoples, both in the diaspora and on the continent, is a work in progress for the next 10 years. And we must and will get it done, and we will get reparations like the Jews did, as we were told just yesterday. My name is Ambassador Brigadier General Dr. Wallace W. Williams. I am the Shango Jagun Badapada, and that means, you know, I am the king warrior that brought the crown back home from the Caribbean. Actually, I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, which I will let my AU Commissioner know, and we were very responsible, as she said, and everyone knows, for the Pan-African movement, my uncle included, and I said that yesterday, Dr. Eric Williams, Padmore, Dubois, all of the people who sat down and thought that, look, we want to get back home and we need to have a Pan-African movement. So without much further ado, I will just quickly talk about the enhancing of the mutual understanding and cooperation between Africa and its traditional diaspora nations. I am also the chairman of the International Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and that is something that we are using to drive, as Madam said, to get economic integration and to get the diaspora moving with the continent on business, commerce, because part of us getting above, you know, this colonial mentality is to free ourselves and use our resources. Your Majesties, Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, and distinguished leaders, it is with deep humility and honor to speak here in Eswatini, custodian of Africa's royal traditions, which is still alive and well. I'm representing both the AICCI, the AIGC, and Antigua and Barbuda at this conference, and I'm speaking as a son of Africa and the diaspora. The theme, relevance. That is enhancing mutual understanding and cooperation. This is timely, urgent, and significant. It is a call for us to reconnect, remember, and rebuild. Now, Africa before colonial intrusion, we spoke about it a bit, but Africa was not a blank map, as we are being told, and have been told, and as our sister here said, it is not being taught in our schools. Vast civilizations, kingdoms, queendoms, chiefdoms, all existed. And we existed in spirits of Ubuntu. We had a way of governing ourselves. We had a way of giving, you know, our society a way of livelihood. We had a way of respect for each other. We had a way of community living. Those are the things that they came and destroyed. Our governance was rooted in customary law, spirituality, alliances, diplomacy. Political, cultural, spiritual, and economic systems were integrated in barter. All the things that we were doing at that point in time, you know, were things that ran our society. They did not come and put civilization to us. We gave them civilization, because before, when they were running around in Europe and other places and they were unhygienic, they had no idea of law, they had no idea of mathematics. We taught them all these things. So the assault on African sovereignty, the Arab incursions, and this is something that we must always never forget, because we talk about the transatlantic slavery, But we do not talk about the Arab incursions from the 7th century onwards. And this is very important because right now the Arabs have a lot of money and we need reparations from these people. We need the money that they have taken from us by mining. And I love that word. I love that word, AU Commissioner. They mined not only our resources, but they mined our people. They mined our people. They took them because we were strong, we were intelligent. They took everything that we had. And that is the Arabs. Let's not forget that. The Europeans was an onslaught of transatlantic slavery and colonization, and I dare say they also replaced it with neo-colonials. Those that they had taught in France and they had taught in England, etc., give them titles, put them into their cult societies, whether it's the Skull and Bones in Harvard or the Masons, the Freemasons. They use that, and they use those very powerfully to keep us in slavery on the continent. The divide and rule tactics, the land seizures, and we must get back those lands. South Africa, Zimbabwe, or Kenya, etc. We must seize the lands back because they are ours. And the genocidal wars. The genocidal wars are still continuing today. And I must warn you all, and I'm saying it because I'm a general. I'm not afraid. I'm not compromised. Right now, Bill and Melinda Gates have a program, right, to depopulate Africa. And we must ensure that GMOs and these stupid things that they're bringing to give to our women and say that, we must stop populating by giving them these, whatever it is they're called, they are a danger to our society, they are a danger to us, and I'm making it clear here today that they must be stopped. 250 years of royal resistance. We have had 250 years of royal resistance, and as King Tanye has said, and I bless him for what I would say, taking the mantle, and that is what you call a true warrior, a true king, who has seen what the problems are, and we must deal with it. So what were the continental resistance and royal leadership? West Africa, the Ashantis, right? The Dahomey, the Benin, the Yoruba states, Queen Amina. There are several of our own heroes, women, men, kings, queens, who fought and tried their very best to resist. But of course, they were overcome by, as we said yesterday, superior weaponry, and of course, what we'll call cleverness and cheating, like they did with the natives of America, right? Central Africa, we had Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba. East Africa, we had Chief Mikawa, Buganda, Bonyoro, and I actually visited Bonyoro Kingdom myself and Professor Lumumba to speak about the colonials giving back to the Bonyoro Kingdom. I actually was there last year and gave a talk together with Professor Pielo Lumumba, who's my partner in crime, if you have to say so, as a Pan-Africanist, fellow Pan-Africanist. Ethiopia, the Battle of Adwa, and thank God that Ethiopia, showed, even when they were, how do I put it? the Akaris, they call them, these people who sold them out, they still won against the Italians. And of course, the Mau Mau, Brother Kimathi, who sacrificed his life to ensure Kenya's independence. Southern Africa, the Zulus, Xhosa, Basotos, and so many others. The transition from armed struggle we talked about to political organization, the ANC roots, Mandela, Tambo, and others. Those are the ones who also took up the mantle to get our people free from apartheid. Now, the resistance continued overseas. A lot of people don't know that in the Caribbean, we had a lot of resistance, and it was crushed in many ways. Today, Haiti is being impoverished purposefully because they have to pay back France for defeating France. Can you imagine the stupidity that we have to pay France for beating them, right? The Haitian Revolution, 1791 to 1804, when King Henry Christophe I declared himself. And we talk about people like Toussaint Louverture. These are people who fought and fought and fought, and resisted entirely. Jamaica, Queen Nani of the Maroons. Still today, if you go to Jamaica, there is in the mountains the Maroons. And if you go there, it's like they're detached from modernity. They come down to Kingston, Jamaica, to do whatever shopping they need to do, limitedly, but everything is self-sustained up in the mountains of Jamaica. And they fought the British, beat the British, and went and lived in the mountains of Jamaica. And they have to be recognized. Suriname, Maroon societies, Saramacca, Nduyaka, and all of these are people who fought against slavery, fought against colonial masters. African governance and spirituality is still preserved. I am Shango, Jagun, Badepada. My grandmother, we used to go to hide and worship, right, in the jungles in Trinidad and Tobago because it was outlawed. Our own spirituality, our own way of speaking to our people, speaking to our spirits, our ancestors, they actually outlawed it. Today, it is now recognized in a way that is called spiritual Baptist. So we now have a holiday in Trinidad called Spiritual Baptist Holiday. And that is really Shango, Oshun. These are the things. We now have pilgrimages that go to, as you spoke about, Ife. The owner of Ife goes to Brazil. The owner of Ife came to Trinidad and Cuba. These are Yorubas who are still in link and crying to come back to the continent. So the Berlin Conference, 1884 to 1885, carved up Africa without Africans' consent. Here we are, kingdoms, and I've been to Kisumu, and just over the river, one of the things I want to do is to rename that river, is one of my own plans to ensure that we start to remove all these names that were planted upon us. Right over the Luo, part of Uganda, part of the neighboring countries, they are the same people, but they have been divided and carved up by these Berliners. Who are these thieves? Who are these criminals? Purpose was to extract the resources from Europe. And when I say resources, I don't only mean mineral resources, the human resources as well, because that is part of what they are thinking, that they must employ, they must still steal and take for themselves, because they had no civilization themselves. Impose artificial borders. We are now clamoring for a borderless Africa. And these borders are not our making. They are man-made from these Europeans to crisscross and stop. Have they not freed themselves in Germany by removing the Berlin Wall? And all Germans are now one, right? All Germans are now one. We have to do the same. We have to think of how we now remove the borders. Now, suppress role of royalty and spirituality. Why? Because the royals are the closest to the people. The spirituality is what also drives them. So when you exile, and I will ask my sister here from Burundi to come up after to speak about, the exiling of her uncle, the king, and others, because that is what we'll call the present and current diaspora. We are the historical diaspora, the ones who were forced, abducted, and taken away from the continent. My grandmother told me we have a royal lineage, and that was broken when they took the key royal kings and queens. A lot of them were royal people. Why? Because they did not want you to be close to the people to rise up. But yet, still, people themselves, when they were abroad, in the Caribbean and in America, they revolted. Now, we, in consort with the AU, Madame, must revoke that map. This is something that must be done. Drawn by the Berlin criminals, and symbolically, I'm saying, tear it up. And I'm saying that, and I said it yesterday, or burn it publicly, thereby removing their imposed borders on us, freeing ourselves from the shackles of imperialism and colonialism in all its ramifications, and redraw the map to reflect our kingdom and nation states. Why am I saying that? if we continue to use what they have imposed on us, we are still restricted. We are still living a lie. We are living in what they have imposed on us. We must symbolically tear it up. Let the world know. Let them see that we have said enough is enough. We tear up your map and we are going to go for a borderless Africa. And that is very, very important. If we don't do that symbolically, we are just pretending. We are continuing to live that lie. So we must, and I'm asking the AU, and I'm asking Madam, that we choose a day, whatever day, and we all come together as African leaders, as African traditional leaders, and say, we have now declared, Africa and the Berlin Conference and the Berlin map irrelevant. The path forward. The world is shifting from unipolar to multipolar order. And we also have to be very careful. They have plans for us. Stargate is coming from the US. Starlink with Elon Musk. They're all having plans of how to create a new order because they know, for example, if we do, which I'm working on something called SUDACA, that is Standard United Digital African Currency for the ACFTA. We have now the technology, we have all the resources, trillions, right, that we can use to have our own standard united digital currency. We have enough digital savvy people now to make a currency that is African. They have tried to kill the West African, what they called it at the time, the Afro, France, etc. We need to look at people who are doing things now, like Captain Traore. We're having a model that is evolving. And I bless him because it's only someone with a military mind who knows that you cannot compromise or be compromised to start doing things the right way, right? So right now, we have the resources to set up our own standard central digital bank. We have the resources to standardize and have our own currency, and we are working on it right now. I am one of the people who are working on a digital currency as we speak, right? It's shifting from a unipolar to a multipolar order, and we have got to be very careful, and I want us to be able to monitor what is happening as the world is evolving digitally. Africa must assert itself. Our strength lies in our identity, our royalty, our spirituality, and our indigenous civilization. We have to and must do this. This is something that, we must eat, sleep, and wake up and say, this is what we are doing, and have the strength and have the, what I call the boldness, and you spoke about that, Madam. We must have the boldness to say, what are we doing? Why are we looking to the West for what? Everything is here. I'm on an aircraft every time. I'm crisscrossing Africa almost every month. And 90% of the times, I am seeing the aircraft filled with Chinese, Indians, Europeans. If Africa is what they say it is, why are you coming to Africa? And we, as the Nigerians say, we are doing japa. You're running outside, you're killing yourself in the Mediterranean. When you get to Europe, you're cleaning toilets. When you get here and you have a PhD, you are driving cars in New York as a taxi driver. What nonsense is that? We must stay home, and we must encourage our people to stay home. And as our sister said here with education, the miseducation of Africans, we need to change the curriculums and make sure that our children and our school curriculum talk to Africa and Africans, what we have, what we can do, our customs, our legends. These are things, our history must be taught in schools, because as you see now, Traore is doing, they are having, which is something that I'm going to talk to. We are going there in the next month, myself and Pierre Lumumba and Arikana. We are heading there. We have been invited by Traore to come there in the next month, and we are going to sit down with some ideas, some of which I have militarily and some what he has, that is training the young minds, uniforming them. We talk about Ghana, for example, did what we call a factory in every community. That is something that we must do take control of the resources that are in your community and make sure, take something from the Chinese. What did the Chinese do? They have the People's Revolutionary Army, right? And in every community, you have what we will call a catchment of military personnel. We must do the same. We have to do the same. In Africa, what we do is every community where we have resources, we must ensure that we have those resources protected. Or if you're coming to mine our resources, you do it in partnership with the community. So the African Indigenous Governing Council is uniting across the continent and diaspora. I must thank King Tanye for his vision where this is concerned, uniting royalty and our royal leaders across the continent. What is the call to action? And I know you're coming to ask me to stop, but I won't. AU must recognize the central role of royalty in governance and establish an AU organ for royalty. Officially commemorate royal resistance to slavery and colonialism, strengthen ties with the diaspora as Africa's sixth region. And we spoke as you came off. I'm very interested in the regional, sixth region economic integration. That's very important. Establish a reparations committee and commission with key experts to determine the quantum owed and for those responsible for pay in full with a framework for legal pursuit. Along the same lines that you just spoke about, we are thinking the same way, and we must work together on that. They must pay in full, and we must have a framework, right, for the legal pursuit of this. The role of commerce and industry. Commerce is part of culture, not separate. The AICCI's mission, which I am the chairman of, is to trade, invest, and development pathways. Now, royalty in economic governance is the authentic African development, the royalty in the economic governance. So royalty has a part to play in economic governance. The diasporas as partners, as you said it, is as though we were thinking the same way, madam. The diaspora as partners in prosperity, the added value that you spoke about, we are already thinking about that. Bring our brothers and sisters back home. Every country in Africa should open the doors and says, as an Afro-descendant, you are free to come back home. Choose your place, come and live. Ghana is doing it, the others are doing it. In conclusion, Africa must rise as a united civilization. We draw inspiration from Queen Nzinga, Ashanti, Menelik II, Queen Nani, the Haitian Revolution. Unity of royalty, commerce, spirituality, and diaspora equals unstoppable.